Om Sadashivasamārambhām Shankarācārya-madhyamām Asmadācārya-paryantām Vande Guru-paraṁparām Shrutismritipurāణānaṁ Ālayam Karuణālayam Namāmi Bhagavatpādam Shankaram Lokashankaram Shankaram Shankarācāryam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutrabhashyakrtau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murtibheda Vibhagine Vyomavadvyaptadehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Gukarastvandhakaro Vai Rukarasthannivartakah Andhakaranirodhitvat Gururityabhidhiyate Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryankaravavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Yasya nishvasitam vedaha. It's again sounding a little bit like a funeral. Okay, yeah. So. Yasya nishvasitam vedaha Yo vedebhyo khilan jagat Nirmametamaham vande Vidyatirthamaheshwaram. This is the opening invocatory prayer called Mangala Charanam. A prayer for auspiciousness, a prayer for completion. Because so many things can come in the way, and as we saw in Padmapada's case, even after it is complete, somebody can just throw it to the cows or to the goats, and then there goes the manuscript, right? It is assimilated by beings for whom it is not intended. And so therefore, the hidden variable in the form of Bhagavan, because of whom I have the ability to write and share my thoughts, because of whom I have the thoughts themselves. So these are all considered blessings, because of which I'm able to articulate myself. And that is why the prayer is there. The prayer is there to get the grace of this Bhagavan, and in any form, in any name, as we will see, there are many kinds of prayers. In fact, that itself is a very beautiful discussion and study, all the kinds of prayers. Very, very nice. So the prayer is there to basically revoke and get rid of obstacles that come in the way. There are many slips between pen and paper and so many things. There are many things that can go wrong. Or sometimes all the ideas are in the head, but nothing comes on the computer or on the paper. Why? Writer's block. Yeah. We say writer's block in the modern times, but actually the ancient name is Ganesha, Vignakarta. These are all karmic obstacles. Obstacles means karma. Obstacles come because of karma. It's not that Ganesha doesn't have anything better to do and he's putting obstacles in your way. Not at all. He's not putting any obstacles in your way. It's just that your own karma, something from the past, rises, regurgitates and then suddenly one is frozen, one is not able to express oneself. One is filled with self-doubt, anxiety, second-guessing, and some kind of a fear, what will people think? Fear of failure. Oh my God, if I write this and if it doesn't work, nobody looks at it, then what will happen to me? Nothing will happen, There are many dusty books in the libraries, nothing has happened. It's okay. But still, that is not very easy to understand. Then, it's because the fear is never rational. Then sometimes there is fear of success. Oh, what if I succeed? What if I do this? What if I do this and I really understand? I understand that I'm whole after writing this book. Oh my God, am I ready for that? And something else, some wrong part of you answers, no, I'm not ready. And so therefore, I won't write this at all. So like this, there are all these, the source of obstacles, even though we categorize them as three. What are they? Adi, Daivika, centered on God. Because that's an easy out. You say, okay, this is centered on God. Which after study of Vedanta sounds odd, okay? Because Vedanta is all about me. And then, and there is no God other than me, outside of me. And so this sounds a bit odd. But nonetheless, it's a convenient catch-all, hold-all, centered on God. So Bhagavan is giving me a tied tongue, and so Ganesha, etc., I invoke. So then the second set of obstacles, the second source is what? Adi Bhautika, centered on the surroundings. I need to be in the hills, in a nice log cabin, then only I can write. This is what is called, I can't write in the din of the city, and I can't express myself. This is an example of Adi Bhautika Vignani. Vigna means obstacles. Then, what else is there? Adhyatmikam, and Adhyatmika Vignani means centered on the I. Now, can you do anything about things that are centered on God? No. You can't do anything. What can you do? You have no power. You have nothing. And then you can't also control people around you, much as one would like to. I mean, it's not for want of trying. But you cannot control people around you. You cannot control, anything in the surroundings. Then we have Adhyatmika, centered on oneself. And there is the only place of, that's the only opening where something at least can be done. Because if it's centered on me, I am in charge of being able to remove these obstacles. So even though we say there are threefold sources of obstacles, and we can conveniently categorize the sources, but really speaking, it's all Adhyatmika alone. It's all centered on oneself. Some kind of block, some kind of thing. Or there might be some, emergency or something that happens. Maybe the writer falls sick, or worse, death, or something like that, due to which the work remains fulfilled, incomplete. So for these reasons, all the works begin with an invocation or a prayer. Now, the prayer itself generally the prayer is of two types, overt or covert. Overt prayer is like this one, Yasya Nishvasitam Vedaha, we'll see this. Yena, all these things. We'll see all this. So where a deity is addressed, one's guru is addressed, etc. Then the covert prayer is, of course, much more intriguing, very, very intriguing. You don't even know there is a prayer, but there is a prayer. Yeah. Like the Bhagavad Gita doesn't start with a prayer. And in fact, there is a convention, an ancient custom, which says, if the book does not begin with a prayer, do not read it. Yeah, it's not read at all. And that is so interesting, because do not read it means what? Nobody will read it. It will not see the light of day. Do you know who Duryodhana is? Yeah? Yeah. Do you also know that he wrote a book on dharma? Laughable, isn't it? But apparently he did write a book on dharma. But where is it? Nobody knows. Nobody knows where this book on dharma is, precisely because he thought he was the one writing it and there was no prayer to begin with. So therefore nobody read the book. Therefore it just, it was lost. And after all, who wants to be preached about dharma by the most adharmic individual? Bhagavan takes care of these things. It's very, very nice. And therefore, there is a overt prayer, which of this is an example of which. Then there are, some kind of covert prayers, like the prayer that is there in the Bhagavad Gita. It is so hidden, you have to look for it. Dhritarashtra uvacha. This is how it begins. There is no prayer. Where is the prayer? But there itself, in the first word, the prayer is hidden. Dhritam rashtram yena. By whom this whole universe. Rashtra means nation, but generally, but here it means the whole universe is held. It's a silent salute to the maker of the universe, to Bhagavan. Very beautiful. And then we find a covert prayer also in our study of Paninian Sutras. Vriddhi Rajai Adaich, first sutra. In fact, the term Vriddhi, which means growth, is not used in the sense of growth in Panini's etc., Panini's grammar. It is a technical term to denote the so-called growth of certain vowels, the strengthening of vowels, and how the vowels have a certain iteration in their ultimate form. So all he says in the first sutra is that At, A, the letter A, the long A, and I, may they be known as Vriddhi letters, because after that they don't have any other. After A, what can you say? It's the ultimate. You can't say A, it's still A. And after I, you can't make it anything else. The vowel has reached its full potential of articulation. So let these letters be known as Vriddhi. But actually, he is praying for the Vriddhi of his work. He is praying for this work to be completed, to be read, to be understood, and for it to be lasting. And the prayer has worked, because there were supposed to be 9 forms of grammar. And this is the only one that has survived in full measure. Otherwise, we have just bits and pieces of the other kinds. But this one has fully survived thanks to this covert prayer. So generally, 2 forms of prayer, overt and covert. Then, among the overt prayers, of which this is an example, there are 3 varieties. In the overt genre, there are 3 varieties. And the first one is like a, what is that called? Swarupa Nirdeshana Mangalacharanam. What does that mean? It talks about the Swarupa, the nature of the Atma, straight away. And that Atma which is manifest as Bhagavan, and that same Atma which is manifest as the universe, like that it talks about. Swarupa Nirdeshana. It indicates the Swarupa of this consciousness. And then it makes that consciousness alone the subject matter of the prayer. And at the same time, it again there is a double function here. Not only is it a prayer, it's a little taste, a hint of what is to come. It gives, in summary, in a very small cocoon or capsule form, it gives the vision of Vedanta very beautifully. A fantastic example is the opening prayer to the Taittiriya Upanishad by Adi Shankara. Yasmad jatam jagat sarvam yasminneva praliyate yenedam dharyate sarvam tasmai jnanatmane namaha. Tasmai, unto that Atma which is in the form of all knowledge, Ishvara, which is Ishvara, which is Atma, which is I. Same thing. Tasmai namaha, namaha unto that which is in the form of Atma, which is Bhagavan, which is the whole. And what is that? Yasmat jatam idam sarvam, by which everything has come into being. Yasminneva praliyate, unto which everything resolves. Yenedam dharyate sarvam, by which everything is sustained. And this is what is called tatastha lakshana. The definition of Bhagavan, definition of Brahman from the standpoint of the Jagat, which comes and goes, and which resolves into Bhagavan, which comes out of Bhagavan. So that is one definition of Brahman. The immanent definition. And then we have in the word Jnanatma, Jnanatmane namaha, Jnanatman, we have the Swarupa Lakshana. We have the definition, the unchanging definition of this Brahman, the intrinsic definition, which is what? That which is unchanging, which is the same all the time. So this is a very classic and a fantastic illustration of the first kind of the overt prayers. Among the overt prayers, Swarupa Nirdeshana Mangalacharanam. Then we have Ishtadevata, the invocation of the Ishtadevata. Ishtadevata Avahanam. So Ishtadevata means when everybody has, Ishtadevata Avahanatmakam, meaning the invocation of one's favorite deity to which one relates. And sometimes the deity is Bhagavan and Guru at once, like we saw like we see in the Totakashtakam. Bhava Shankara Deshika Me Sharanam, like that. That is one example. Then a very beautiful example is the opening verse of the Advaita Makaranda. Lovely text. Namah Shri Shankarananda Guru Padambu Janmane. No, that is this one. This one is another one. Kataksha Kirana Chanta Naman Mohabdhaye Namaha Amrita Nanda Krishnaya Jagan Mangalamurtaye. So Namaha unto that Lord Krishna, who is the most auspicious being in the Jagat, who makes the whole Jagat auspicious, who grants or bestows or lends his own auspiciousness to the entire Jagat. Namaha unto that. And who is this Lord Krishna? By whose sidelong glance, the warm glance of the Lord dries up the ocean evaporates the ocean of samsara for those who seek that look. Amazing prayer, so poetic, wonderful. And the ocean of delusion dries up by just one look to those who have surrendered unto him. Fantastic. So this is the Ishtadevata and also the guru of the author of the Advaita Makaranda was also known as Swami Krishnananda. So here it is said, again a double prayer at the same time, just like we see in the Totakashtakam. Then we have one more, what is that, so this Ishtadevata, and Swarupa Nirdeshakatmakam, that one also sometimes they overlap. Even though we are delineating these types, you can also look for overlaps. It is not uncommon. Then finally we have, what is that? Ashirvadatmakam. Vada. So Ashirvada means there is a kind of a blessing for the reader. A classic example of this kind of a opening prayer, invocatory prayer, is we can say Tattva Bodha. Vasudevendra Yogindram Natva Jnana Pradam Gurum Mumukshunam Hitarthaya Tattva Bodho Bhidhiyate. So here the hita for the mumukshus. Hita means the comfort, the benefit. For all the mumukshus, the desirers of freedom, the desires of knowledge is intended. That's the intended benefit for these people. Let them be blessed. Let whoever studies this be free of samsara. That is the prayer. And then, if we look at this prayer, this prayer is an example of the overlap of the first and the second category, which is Vastu Swarupa Nirdeshatmakam and which is Ishtadevata Avahanatmakam, both of them. It kind of comes between the two. So let us look at that. And as I said yesterday, there is a allusion to a very famous mantra in the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, and also one of the sutras in the Brahma Sutra. And we'll be seeing both of those. So, so yesterday we saw a little bit. So, Nirmame we saw. Jagat Nirmame. Yaha Akhilam Jagat Nirmame. The one who created the entire Jagat. Tam Aham Vande. I salute that one. Who is that? Who is the pilgrimage of all knowledge. The pilgrimage of the knowledge of the self. Pilgrimage here is what? It's a journey. So the knowledge is a journey, the knowledge is also the destination. And who is that? And what is the destination of the pilgrimage? Maheshwara, the Lord. And here it's also, as I said, it overlaps the two. So there is Guru Dhyanam, because Bharati Tirtha is the name of the Guru of Swami Vidyaranya. But then there is another convention. What is the convention? May one not take the names of 5 categories of people because of certain reasons. So you should never take your own name because it is seen as arrogant. That's why you frequently see the acharyas referring to themselves in the passive voice in Sanskritam. In English, the passive voice is derided. No, you should make it active. In fact, if you type in Microsoft Word, a sentence in passive voice, the whole sentence is underlined in red. And you say, what happened? What did I forget? Did I forget the verb? Did I forget what happened? But then it is passive voice because it's not looked upon favorably in the West. The West is a place of individuation. The West is a place of highlighting one's achievements and everything actively. Nothing wrong, it's okay, but I'm just showing you the difference here. Whereas in the East it is just like, everything has come, it is all given. In fact, one feels a little shy about taking credit for something that one doesn't feel entitled to. And so one should never take one's own name because it is seen as highly arrogant. Not very nice. So therefore the acharyas will say, Maya udakhriyate. By me this is explained, because you don't refer to yourself as I, and you don't take your own name. Then, regardless of whether you're a man or a woman, you don't take the name of your spouse as a mark of respect. That's why in North India, they will say, oh, mother of so-and-so, Pappu ki mummy, so, mother of Pappu, and who is Pappu? The son, okay? Actually, that's not even the son's name. That comes to the third point of the third name that must not be taken. You must not take the name of the firstborn. That's why the firstborn, especially in North India, will always have a nickname. Whether it's a boy or a girl. Yeah, always there'll be a nickname. Bablu, Pappu, this, that, something, will be there. You must not take the first name of the firstborn. Why? Because there is a great sense of identification with the firstborn child, whether it's a boy or a girl. Why? Because it's really an extension of you. At least that's how you think in the beginning. After you have other children, okay, it's okay, fine. But the first one, there is some kind of an identification. So you don't take the name of the firstborn. How many have we covered? 3, okay. It's kind of fun, to see how people lived and what are the ancient customs. So then, you don't take the name of your guru. You never take the name of the guru. Why? As a mark of respect. You don't take the name of the guru. And that's why he doesn't say Bharati Tirtha, he says Vidya Tirtha. There is a kind of a, what should I say? A hidden allusion to the Guru. The Guru is invoked, but without taking the name. That's why we have this double entendre of the Lord and the Guru in so many things. Even in this one, I misquoted, but then that I was saving it for this particular one. The opening prayer of the Panchadashi by the same Vidyaranya Swamiji. Namah Shri Shankarananda Guru Padambu Janmane. The Shankarananda is Lord Shankara, who is in the form of Ananda as well as Adi Shankara. Same thing. And so you don't take the name of the Guru. So that is number 4, right? Oh, okay, one more left. All right. So then you don't take the name of notorious people, wretched people, Kripanaha. And you don't take the name of gang leaders or gang members or what else, people who are given to crime, mafia dons, etc. Why? Because it defiles the mouth, the tongue, and it defiles the heart, the mind, and it just, makes you disturbed. It's not that you don't take the mafia don's name out of respect. No, the reasons are different. Okay? So, you don't want to, because then you get difficult thoughts. Then then you're traumatized. So why do that? So you don't take the name. So this is why Vidya Tirtha is Bharati Tirtha, but then it is also elegantly presented as that, as that source of, as that Lord Maheshwara, who is the pilgrimage of knowledge, who you can reach by undertaking a pilgrimage of knowledge. Very beautiful. Up till now we have seen this. Then, first line says, who is this Bhagavan? Who is this Vidya Tirtha? Who is this Guru? Yasya Nishvasitam Vedaha. Whose out-breath, who exhaled the Vedas. This is very, interesting. When we exhale, what comes out? Carbon dioxide. Bhagavan exhales Rig Veda, Yajur Veda, Sama Veda, Atharva Veda, all the Vedas. Veda means knowledge. Knowledge of what? Knowledge. There's no water here. So knowledge of the the knowledge of the Jagat, how the knowledge of the laws of the universe, the knowledge of each and everything in the universe. In fact, each and everything in the universe is nothing but knowledge. Nothing at all but knowledge. So, what is this knowledge? Because if you look, how can we understand that everything is knowledge? If you look at a flower, the flower is nothing but knowledge. Flower is means flower knowledge is. Flower is means flower knowledge is. Because what is flower other than what you know about it? Is there such a thing as a flower without you knowing something about it? Not at all. Flower the entire flower is just what you know about the flower. Same thing with anything in the universe. So all that is just knowledge, 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 knowledge. And flower knowledge, and knowledge of the weather, knowledge of the 5 elements, knowledge of how in the human beings, how the body works, how the mind works. It's all knowledge, all the way. And so this is, this is what is Veda. And Bhagavan exhaled the Vedas, it says in the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, out of compassion for the human beings who are always having a hard time to live in harmony with everything that there is. Only human beings. Nobody else, no other animal, and no other life form flouts the laws of the universe. Only that privilege is only belonging to the human being, because the blessing of free will is there. Free will is there to abuse this, to abuse the laws of the universe. And so, therefore, for the human beings to kind of be compliant means to understand, to go in harmony, in tandem with the intention of the universe and their own purpose in life, which many people discover only after lifetime after lifetime after lifetime of struggling and striving. So, these Vedas are, it's like Bhagavan's side, it says, in the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. It was a sigh like, oh, here they go. Okay, I have to do something to help. And then the Vedas came out. And the Vedas are a compendium. The first portion of the Veda is a compendium of how to live in harmony to avoid being stuck in difficult situations, in trying situations. How to not fell down the branch upon which you sit, self-sabotage. How to avoid sabotaging yourself. How to increase the comfort in your life and decrease discomfort. In other words, how to increase punya by engaging in works that help others and decrease papa. This is the first portion of Veda. What a gift! Without it, one would just be, not be able to, get out from under the covers. Then, for the ones that are ready to graduate from the first portion of the Veda, which is a treatise of wish fulfillment, the second portion is given, which is jnana, the knowledge of oneself. Whereas the first portion addresses the desiring one, the one that, addresses the desires of this one who is always discontented. The second portion queries the desiring person. Are you really a wanting person? If the answer is yes, then it's a lie, because in sleep you are not a wanting person. And when you're in a good mood, when everything is going well, you're not a wanting person. So that means this wanting person is an imposter that you don't even particularly like. You don't want to be a wanting person. So in keeping also with the human yearning, you want to be a non-wanting person. The only want is to be a non-wanting person. And for the blessed ones, who are equipped with the 3 M's that we discussed earlier, and for them, the second portion of the Veda was also exhaled, called Vedanta, the last portion of the Vedas. And then, so the Veda was exhaled. Then what happened? Yaha Vedebhyaha Akhilam Jagat Nirmame. Who out of these Vedas created the entire universe. How you could create the universe out of the Vedas? Very interesting, because it's like the tree or the seed. Which came first? There's also another example for that. What is that one? But so we don't talk about that because it's a non-vegetarian example. So that's why I say tree and seed. Which came first? Which came first? Who knows? Correct? And when we talk about the tree and the seed, something very intriguing happens, because it shows the impossibility of having an entry point here, shows the non-beginninglessness of this whole cycle of creation. You don't know which came first. That means there is no beginning. Tree gave birth to seed, and then seed gave birth to another tree, and like that. And so this is just like an infinite kinds of cycles everywhere. And so the Veda, the knowledge, here Veda, the second iteration of the word Vedebhya, out of knowledge you can take. Your Vedebhya, out of the Vedas means out of the knowledge. Knowledge of what? Knowledge of how to create, knowledge of how to sustain, knowledge of how to take back. All resting in one conscious being. Usually what happens, some people are very good at starting things. So if you have a startup and invite them, they will be great. Then you ask to run the stuff. They are miserable at it. They start up and go away. Other people, whereas, are very good at running things. Don't ask them to start anything. It will be a disaster. You start something and then give it to them to run, then everything goes well. Then there are these other people blessed by Bhagavan Rudra who only put an end to things. They are the liquefiers. They are the companies with the wrecking ball, literally or figuratively, who just who make everything flat, who level everything to the ground. So you see, we have in the world 3 categories of people. But in Ishvara, all these 3 are effortlessly in one. And so this is something fascinating. So then, so we say that out of this knowledge, what is this knowledge? Vedebhyaha, here many forms of knowledges. The knowledge to create, the knowledge to sustain, the knowledge to take back when it is time. Like it's time for the dinosaurs to go. Because I don't think, I think it would have been very difficult for the human beings to coexist side by side. Who knows what the purpose was? And then, if human beings maybe tomorrow may be predatory to another life form, and the human beings are gone, and another life form, propagates. This is all this kind of a knowledge. And Akhilam Jagat, the entire Jagat. Jagat starts with your own body, mind, sense complex, and then, extends up to everything that you can see, even with the help of a telescope and other things, and anything that you can infer, like the presence of Goldilocks planets. And why do we need to be concerned about Goldilocks planets? Because we are making a mess of this planet. So we are always in search of how many light years away something is, where if we really bomb this planet, then we can go somewhere else. So these Goldilocks planets, we can't see many of them. We can't see how, we don't know what they look like. But their presence is inferred by the gravitational force, the mass, everything. Fascinating. You can tell what kind of gases it has. You can tell its general weather. You can even infer the presence of water in the form of ice. You can tell the size, the volume, the mass. And so all that includes in the Jagat. The black hole included in the Jagat. And then all this, what is that? Antimatter and God particle is included. Everything. Akhilam Jagat. Akhilam means without any shesha, without anything to want, without anything else that is left over. The entire Jagat by whom has been created. And it's interesting that the author uses the word nirmame. Created, there are many words for creation. Srishti, abhivyakti, manifestation. But here, nirmame, in a way, it is kind of reminiscent of the word nirmamaha. Nirmamaha means what? Without that I-ness. Effortlessly, just like breathing is effortless. In the same way, without a sense of involvement, without a sense of attachment, this whole universe created. There is a little bit of a hidden pun called Gudha Abhisandhi. Gudha Abhisandhi. And so that's why the word nirmame shines. In the Bhagavad Gita, the word nirmama comes. Nirmamo nirahankaraha sashantimadhigacchati. At the end of the second chapter. And elsewhere also perhaps. It's a common word. So, it's just a little, it just evokes that. And so very interesting use of the verb. This is what makes poetry. This is how we see poetry. Effortless. So, nirmame. And so what do I, so this very beautiful. So we see here a very wonderful example of what is called tatastha lakshana. The incidental definition of Bhagavan in relation to the Jagat. What is the connection of Bhagavan to the Jagat? The one who put forth the Jagat effortlessly as though one is breathing. And then the one who is taking care of it, the one who is the sustainer, and then unto whom the Jagat resolves. After it's finished its job of being a canvas for the jivas to play and exhaust their karma. So this is a very nice definition of Bhagavan, the incidental definition. But then that's not the only definition of Bhagavan. There is an intrinsic definition which is Satchidananda Atma, the one who is that consciousness which is I, that existent consciousness which is limitless, that awareness which is all pervasive, which is aware of itself, which is all knowledge, and so that is also there. So first line we have the tatastha lakshana, an incidental definition of Bhagavan, and then we have in the word vidya tirtha we have a definition, the Swarupa Lakshana is alluded to. Swarupa Lakshana means the essential nature of Bhagavan, the intrinsic nature of Bhagavan as non-separate from that consciousness, which is all knowledge, which is in the form of awareness. So, very beautiful invocation. Let's go further. Next one, let's see. Vakshye vividishanyasam vidvanyasancha bhedatah. Many of you understood, so I am grateful. Shall we try this again? Vakshye vividishanyasam vidvanyasancha bhedatah hetu videha muktescha JivanMuktiViveka taukramat. Together. Vakshye vividishanyasam vidvanyasancha bhedatah hetu videha muktescha JivanMuktiViveka taukramat. Very good. See, I know you can do it. And you've had breakfast, so that's nice. Vakshye means future. I am going to say. I'm going to tell you. I'm going to expound. What are you going to expound? Nyasam. Nyasam is the object of the verb vakshye. Let's just take it like that. Nyasam vakshye. Nyasam means renunciation. I'm going to talk to you about renunciation. What kind of renunciation? Two kinds of renunciation. One is called Vividisha Nyasam. Vividisha Vaktum Veditum Ichha Vividisha. The desire, the sannyasa, I'm going to talk about two kinds of sannyasa. One is the sannyasa of wanting to know sannyasa. Meaning, I want to know Brahman as myself, and therefore what? I'm ready to drop all other things because the desire to know Brahman is very, very prominent in my mind. What about your job? Bhagavan will take care. What about your food? Bhagavan will take care. And what about marriage? Here the person should not say Bhagavan will take care. Because we are talking about renunciation, okay? So here one should say, I don't care. Yeah, I don't care for marriage. He'll himself talk about all this later, very nicely. And then, what about retirement? I'm taking early retirement. That is what that is what sannyasa is intended to be in the Shastra. It is retirement. After going through the various, stages of life. I have sampled the studenthood and everything, including playing truant and test anxiety. I've sampled it all. Next, the life of a householder. Go to work, come back. Go to work, come back. And then raise children. Everything the householder does, notice, it takes money. Anything. Have children, you need lots of money. And then have one more child, you need extra money. And then, and then Indian parents, start to grey early because they don't know when to stop parenting. Yeah. They are stuck in that role. You have to draw the line. You have to stop parenting at 50. Oh, when I'm 50? No. When the so-called child is 50. That's when you have to decide. And you have to say, okay, enough. So this is, this is householder life. And in the Shastra, in the ancient times, the householder life was also for in a way, was a way to give back. Because as a student, one just took. And then the householder life is to give back. And then what? Then I have sampled the stage of Vanaprastha. It's just kind of pulling back from the so-called duties, etc. Kind of retirement from the job, you can say, all these things. Then finally, I'm ready to let go. Sannyasa is letting go. So this is the best retirement plan. Precisely because it doesn't cost money and you don't have to save. This is fantastic. You train for it your whole life. You don't have to worry about inflation. Why? Because you have deflated the raga and dvesha throughout the life. You have worked so hard on yourself, on minding your preferences and your prejudices. And being a person, you have grown after the study of the Bhagavad Gita and other such texts in the Shastras, Puranas, Itihasa, anything you take, you have grown into a person who has stopped groaning for this, that, all the other things. You've grown into a fulfilled person who is adjustable, who is cheerful no matter what. And then one is finally ready to drop the roles. And so, this is sannyasa. This is the traditional trajectory of sannyasa. There is also the other way in which at any point you can drop. You are permitted. You don't have to go through all the 4 stages, all the 3 stages before accepting the 4th ashrama of life. From brahmacharya, studenthood, you can say, I am off. I am taking off. That's when the person says, Bhagavan will take care, doesn't matter. Householder life, you can also say, I am taking off. So you don't have to wait for Vanaprastha or the already retired being. So this is also permitted, as it will be talked about later. Now, Vividishanyasa. So the first kind of, so this is just general definition of sannyasa. 2 broad genres of sannyasa are there. Vividisha and then Vidvat. Vividisha sannyasa is, I cannot wait to know myself as Brahman, as Bhagavan, and I'm going to drop everything. It's just me and the sky. If you're ready for it, go for it. This is what the Shastra says. The sannyasa of wanting to know. And here I think the word that is used, what is the translation? Sannyasa of the seeker. Yeah, the renunciation of the seeker. But that's a little, we have to be very careful. It's not that the seeker is being renounced. Renunciation of the seeker doesn't mean the seeker is being renounced. Seeker is very much there. The renunciation that is marked by seeking to know, that is a better translation. Okay? The first one. First general variety. And the second one is, one has already studied with a guru, one knows, and when one knows, then one wakes up with the thought, so now that I know this, why should I continue paying the electricity bill and the phone bill and the cable bill? Very good question. I know I am fulfilled and I am still reproducing this life. I think I need to just stop. So this is Vidvat Sannyasa. So, Vividisha sannyasa is received, and this is how we have to refer to sannyasa, because it is not taken, it is given. Very important, differentiation, which I learned from one of the gurus of Pujya Swamiji that I was blessed to meet and serve for a while. His name was Swami Taranandaji, lived in Haridwar. And then groups of Swamis used to go to take his blessings soon after initiation. And then everybody would go sit there and they would introduce themselves by their names. And one of the new Swamis said, Swamiji, I have just taken sannyas. And very patiently, he was a very patient man, very, very patient, gentle and patient. And very patiently he said, my son, sannyasa is not taken, it is received, it is given. Sannyas liya nahi jata hai, diya jata hai, he said. Very, very beautiful. And there is, it's very profound, and at some point we'll get into that. But for now, this is so the first kind of Vividisha sannyasa is received by the Guru, of course. Is received by the person, given by the Guru, received by the person who has a strong desire for wanting to know, to the extent that one is not interested in the day-to-day and is ready to drop everything without a care. But at the same time, you must not say, this is also another thing, you must not say, oh, there is nice food in the ashram and tea and coffee flows like rivers and there is fruits all the time. And so I think I'm going to take sannyasa after this retreat and I'm going to live here. No. The beauty of this is you have to be ready for all the difficulties that come. Some ashram is not going to be a place of refuge. It's not going to be that you can just move into the Gurukulam and then just say, okay, I'm going to stay here because life is so tough. And Vedanta classes are much more interesting than my life. And so I'm going to just do this. No. It should be just you and the sky. That's all. You have to be ready to tough it out, not wanting anything and being prepared to sleep on the road if necessary. And suddenly a kind of a sober mood came on the group of listeners. So the desire for Brahman overtakes every other desire, including the upkeep of this body. And if you are ready, then you can do this, no problem. If you're ready for this, then the blessing of Bhagavan is there. And then the other kind of a sannyasa is for the person who already knows and finds it pointless to lead a quote-unquote normal life of, this societal life. More we shall see soon. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om.